waiting room. On more than one occasion, we all have had to wait on something. For some, that was a specific thing or moment. To others, it might have been a sign or an opportunity. We often desire one thing or another, yet to get said thing, we are placed in a space of stillness. Let's call it the waiting room. Like a waiting room in the hospital, this is a place where one occupies until it is time to address the problem or reach a resolution to a situation. The same can be said of life in general, only the waiting room is more metaphorical and sometimes requires us to spend a considerable amount of time there. The act of waiting requires a prominent aspect of us: patience. The interesting thing about patience is that we all possess it in varying degrees. There are those of us who are overly impulsive and lack a substantial amount of patience. Then there are those of us who have an abundance of patience. If I could, I would recommend that you take note of what you do while you wait, and also your perception of the wait itself. While you wait, what a person does in the waiting room is crucial. You are positioned in a place where you can't move forward, so you have to bide your time. A lot of us struggle with this because sometimes we are in the waiting room for longer than we would like. We become frustrated and sometimes anxious as related to the situation at hand. In these circumstances, developing a plan of action can help keep your mind focused on what potentially lies ahead. Preparing little by little succeeds in keeping us busy while in the place void of progress. I once wrote about checkpoints and how they help bring the finish line closer by tackling one seemingly trivial thing at a time. Instead of giving into frustration or anxiety, bridge the gap with productivity. The beauty of this is that it has no definite form, therefore can only be measured solely by the individual. If you give yourself something to do, then chances are the wait will be over before you know it. The perception of waiting. Having to wait doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. You see, a lot of change happens in the way you can't see. I often speak on adjusting your perspective and actively combating negative emotions with positive ones. Far too often do we get consumed by frustration when we are placed in a metaphorical waiting room. Think of it like this: you are having to wait because that which you want is being perfected for you. When you go out to eat, do you not have to wait for your meal to be delivered to you just the way you desire? When parents want to have a baby, do they not have to wait for it to grow and develop into that perfect little bundle of joy? When one buys a house, do you not have to wait for it to be constructed to your specifications? My point is that sometimes waiting is necessary and a part of the process because life is often character specific. God tailor-makes the things we ask for or the things we need. It's a process explicitly about timing, just not always our timing. Finding yourself in the waiting room not only gives your prize a chance to come forth, but more importantly, it gives us a chance to grow. Maybe what's taking so long is that we claim to be ready, but we are not ready. And God doesn't want the oddities of where we are to taint the place where we are looking to go. So in closing, being placed in a waiting room is an unavoidable part of our journey. Going from moving to a place of stillness sees a lot of us rendered out of sorts. In these moments of waiting, take heed of what you do while you wait. A healthy level of productivity does well to pass the time and make your time in the waiting room feel shorter than it otherwise might seem. And finally, take note of your perception of the time spent in the waiting room. Know that the thing you want is unique and handcrafted for you, therefore it takes time to produce, making the time spent waiting less of a negative affair and more of a necessary period of time. One that at the end sees your goal achieved and you leveled up. Don't be afraid to wait. I hear good things come to those that do. Go forward and be blessed. You got this.